You can be like that, with all that humbleness and all that respect.
My close-up.
Are you ready for your close-up, Tyson?
Yes, I am.
All right. Hey, welcome. You have tuned into Global Recovery Today here at UBN Radio Network. I'm your host, as usual, Walt Lusk. And, of course, in an undisclosed location today is Tyson. He is actually across the country, but we have a global audience, and so, therefore, we can do this globally. And this is a call-in show, and if you want to call in, we're going to have a call-in, but maybe you can squeeze it in. The number is area code 323. I'm going to pull it up here real quick. 694. No, that's not it. Where is it? There it is. 323-524-2599. That's area code 323-524-2599 here in Hollywood. We broadcast every Wednesday at 7:30 Pacific here at Universal Broadcasting Radio, which is ubnradio.com. Tyson is one of the major kahunas at the Ibogaine University, soon to be Ibogaine Institute, which is in Mexico, and we're talking about alternatives to dealing with addiction and all things related. And we got a great show today. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff and have a call in. How's it going, Tyson?
Doing really well. I'm good. Like you said, I'm across the country here, and this is my first attempt at doing the station, not being there with you in the studio. So getting set up was a little stressful, and I found myself triggered and craving a cigarette as a reaction to it. So, but anyway, I mean, this is Global Recovery Today isn't so much about Ibogaine as it is about recovering from our culture. This is about cultural rehabilitation. And I don't have all the answers, and I'm not a professional therapist. I'm just somebody who has struggled with addiction myself. Ibogaine is one of the tools I use to help me get prepared and to be able to work on myself. So I am now, an advocate because I've seen it work and I know it works. We're actually going to have today a call in from a client who just finished her treatment and is now working on her recovery. But it is important to understand that recovery is about a lifestyle change. And it's everything from diet to exercise to, sleep. And then, all of the different things that we can do that can help us maintain a state of being that is conducive to health and success. And success is something that we experience in the moment. I really believe that the things that have been around for millennia, everything from meditation, yoga, the practices that have really been there before we started taking substances as a tool for coping with life on life's terms. And I bet we all know people who have struggled with addiction. Many people take substances, even if it's alcohol, a few drinks at night, something that is keeping us sort of stabilized. This is not, it's not something that is unique to a general part of the population. As we're going to discuss, Walt is going to go over some numbers that are really pretty startling. And I don't know if you're ready with that information, Walt.
I am. It is quite startling. And the thing is, you mean if I have a martini every night after work, that might be a problem?
I don't know if it's a problem. I mean, quality of life is important. And, I quote Eckhart Tolle a lot, and he says that without drugs, we'd be going totally insane. So until we're ready, until we have other things in place, you can't really take away that which is allowing us to deal with life. But the thing about it is our environment and our culture is pretty crazy. It's,
it is very crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the media and the powers that be want it to be crazy.
Yeah, well, we'll have that come up.
It's a topic for another day.
I want to focus on solution, right? Even talking about addiction itself is just a thing to point at that says, hey, there's something that needs to be addressed, and what are the solutions available? why don't you read some of those
So
statistics
there's
you
a couple
found?
of articles today if you want to do a little homework. One Tyson shot at me from CNN, and it was today, and another one that I'm going to quote from initially from dailymail.uk.co. Suburban drug overdoses cause spike in premature deaths among young U.S. adults, primarily ages 15 to 24. Researchers found that among those, actually 25 to 44, were not only drug overdoses up, but they were premature deaths as well. In 2015, more than 1.2 million people died prematurely, almost 40 million more than 40,000 more than the previous year. So it's mentionably up. But these deaths aren't taking place in big cities; they're in suburbia, where people live and play is a key role of how long they will live. And they have yet to overdose deaths from. They haven't overcome overdose deaths from suicide, motor vehicles, and homicides. But youth and young adults living in rural areas have the highest rates of injury death due to suicide or unintentional injuries than those living in urbans. And I think that includes drug overdoses as well.
The other article is very clear about how we've tripled or quadrupled the number of overdose-related deaths.
Since 1999, the number of overdoses from prescriptions, opiates, and oxycodone, and hydrocodone, as well as illicit drugs like heroin, have quadrupled. You're right. In fact, heroin now accounts for 1 in 4. That's 25% of the deaths in the United States. So, yeah,
which has overcome car accidents.
Yes, that's true.
This is the leading cause of accidental death.
Yeah, heroin patterns have really changed since 2001. There's almost a 5-fold increase in the number of people who abuse heroin, and heroin use has tripled.
And that's just that doesn't include all of the opiates, the pain pills that people are getting addicted to. So it seems that if you're young and you go in and you have pain, they give you opiates. We get triggered, we get into our addiction, then we can't get the prescription drugs. We go to heroin because it's very readily available right now. And then when we're trying to get off the heroin, we get prescribed methadone or Suboxone, which is a synthetic long-acting opiate, which pretty much keeps us addicted. There's a new, I don't know what it was, it's not a podcast, but it's Chris Christie is talking about his mother's addiction to cigarettes and how that killed her, and how nobody blamed her and said that it was her fault and she chose that. But he also talked about a good friend of his that was addicted to opiates and ended up dying. And he is a pro-lifer, and that means even his friend who died, he wants to stop treating addiction as something that people have a choice. It's a sickness, it's an illness, whether it's cigarettes or opiates or alcohol or methamphetamine. So I want to get that out. We'll post that on
we post
Global
it,
Recovery Today,
CNN.
the YouTube channel. And then also we'll put it on the Facebook page as well, where I think we'll be doing most of the links to these articles.
Yeah, and that's Global Recovery Today for YouTube as well as Facebook.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And it says right here that many heroin users start by using prescription opiates like oxycodone, and hydrocodone. So in other words, you're right. They start, and I have a friend I just met. She's 23 years old. She was in a serious car accident. She obviously was in a coma for like 3 months, was in a boatload of pain, got her off Oxycontin, and boom, she's heroin. Yeah. I mean, the progression is scary.
It is. And the thing about it is there's real solutions out there,
yes.
Whether it be, Ibogaine. Traditional rehabs fail. We're looking at, like I said, a 10% or less recovery rate, whether it be Alcoholics Anonymous, a 12-step program, residential intensive outpatient programs. And what it seems to be is that at any given time, the number of people that are looking for recovery, regardless of what they choose, 10% will be ready to stop using. And I talk to people pretty regularly who said, hey, I was addicted and I was done and I just stopped and I experienced a week or 2 weeks of withdrawals and it was really hard, but I've been able to stay sober ever since. And that's rare. We know that most people can't stop on their own.
No way.
And once you're addicted, your chances of recovery are slim. But what we've been finding are people that come and do ayahuasca, which resets the receptor sites associated with addiction, the opiate receptor sites specifically, also alcohol, methamphetamine. All of these are sort of tied to the way that we react to anxiety, stress, again, life on life's terms. We are wired to take this substance in order to self-medicate. That creates a relationship between our frontal lobe and our amygdala, which is the reptilian brain. There's a term for it, which is called amygdala hijacking. When we get triggered, we go into a state where we can't control our emotions, we can't control our choices, and then we have a pattern of behavior that is consistent, and we do it again and again. In this case, we're talking about substance abuse. It might also include gambling, sex addiction, behaviors that may be creating problems in our lives, yet we can't stop. So the idea is that once somebody recognizes that that's what's going on and they want to quit, well, what then? Because
there's one last nugget here in this article, and it says here basically, the study said that, quote, heroin use appears to have become more socially acceptable among suburban and rural white individuals, perhaps because its effects are so similar to those widely available from prescription drugs. Wow, that's a leap.
Yeah.
You're on heroin. I used to be on Oxycontin. Okay, no different.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what but the older generations, the one that control the penal system and the legislation, don't look at it that way. They don't look at a cigarette addict the same as an opiate addict. So what we do is we penalize, punish, institutionalize. I mean, if you go into a jail and you're on opiates, you are going to lay on the floor and wither and withdraw, sick, nauseous, and they're not going to help you because in their minds, you chose that. So you won't get any medication. You're going to go through some of the worst withdrawals because not only is it the substances, it's about environment. Because if you're addicted and you know that fourth hour's coming, that fifth hour's coming, and it's going to get worse and worse, you start to stress out and you are, and you have to go do something about it. So people will go break into houses or they'll steal from their parents. They'll do whatever it takes. They'll start selling away all of their material items until they get what they need. And they will do this until they just can't do it anymore. At which point they're gonna hopefully seek help. If they do that, they call a doctor and they say, I'm addicted to pain pills or heroin. And that doctor is really only got one solution available to them, and that's going to be methadone or Suboxone. These are synthetic opiates, and I know that's two, but using those as in one category of what we call harm reduction drugs. Basically, you don't get off of opiates. They put you on one that you get to pay them for on a weekly basis. $15 to $20 a day. You're looking at anywhere from $500 or $600 up to $1,000 a month, more in some cases. And you just don't get off that. Many doctors will say, if you call up and say, okay, I'm done, I'm ready to get off, they'll be like, well, no, you don't get off. You just stay on it. So it really is important to know that there is a solution, that they can get off of Ibogaine, and that Ibogaine will, basically reset the receptor sites. They wake up the next day. They have little or no withdrawals, no craving and compulsion to use. They are, very, very, very much relieved of the obsession to use. Now, it is not a cure for addiction. It's important that people understand that the only real cure for addiction is going to be clean living. And that means that when you come out of treatment, you have to have a plan of recovery, a plan of taking personal responsibility for your own well-being. And that means getting up every day and doing some sort of exercise, a good diet. Sugar is really, really addictive. What it does to the brain, alcohol turns into sugar in your body. So we respond in the same way. So it's telling us, I crave, and who hasn't sugar cravings? Most people know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about sugar and how our brains respond to it. Starches, same thing. Bread, pasta, they turn into sugar. Potatoes, believe it or not, are actually turned into sugar and processed by the body quicker than granulated sugar. So this is what happens chemically when we're dealing with craving, compulsion, and substances. So I don't know what else you got there regarding the statistics. Do you have anything else while we wait for Christina?
Well, let me take a stare. The shift in treating pain is a major factor of understanding the current crisis. So I guess they're obviously trying to prescribe more OxyContin and whatnot, because with the United States, the usage per capita is off the charts relative to the rest of the world. I know that. The shift in the practice norms was fueled by the acceptance of low-quality evidence that opiates are a relatively benign remedy for managing chronic pain. This vast opiate supplies created a risk of diversion, opiate misuse, and disorder and overdose death. So they've downplayed the usage, prescribed it like crazy, and now we have big problems. And the deaths are again between ages 15 to 44.
Right. Also, it says there that the greatest increase in addiction is amongst white males.
White males, yeah.
Young to adolescent to
white males,
or teenage to young adult males, and obviously it affects everybody, every age bracket, every socioeconomic category, and all races.
It says here that the prevalence of heroin use and the use disorder have been occurring among vulnerable individuals who have few resources to overcome problems associated with its use. So, and the rural areas obviously have fewer resources, just because if you're in the middle of nowhere, what have you got? You've just got yourself to deal with, and ways to get out of the pain and the challenge you're in.
Yeah, it really is about escape.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We don't feel connected.
No.
We don't feel part of, whether that is experiential, where through our domestication by our parents, right? Our parents, for starting from a very young age, they decide what our behavior is supposed to be like. And then they punish us and they reward us, domesticate us just like we would a dog, so that we make them happy. In that process, we lose our authentic self and we try to please our parents. So there's this thing, this spiritual truth that we're here to have this spiritual experience, and we very quickly get into the pleasing other people. And when that doesn't work for us, and it never works, because ultimately we're never going to be able to please everybody, we start to feel shame and guilt. And then someday somebody says, hey, here, try this. And we take a substance and we're like, oh, I feel great. I feel connected. I feel like I can do this. And because it does work so well, specifically opiates, alcohol, marijuana, we become habitual users. And it's the way that we learn to cope with life. What happens at that point is we stop growing. We stop maturing emotionally. And that's why in our previous show, we were starting to bring up the conversation about emotional intelligence. So
yes, a couple shows ago.
Something happens, we get triggered, we feel angry. If we weren't on substances, we would possibly go to a good friend or our mother or father, if we felt we had a good relationship, and talk to them about it. And we would come up with a strategy on how to deal with it if it comes up again. And we would build through this process emotional intelligence. But if something happens and we choose to use a substance, we would use that as a coping mechanism. Well, there's no real growth in that. We just anesthetize this feeling, which is there to help us grow. And obviously, if you start at 12, 13 like me, and you use it throughout your whole life, those are periods where you're just not getting the message. You're getting that download is like, oh, this isn't right for you. It's not right for the collective. And that's another thing. What I found was, for as long as I was, trying to please other people, which I continue to do, it's something that doesn't just go away, that I wasn't really happy. There's some part of me that did not feel connected. And it wasn't until I started doing certain practices. I studied Taoism and meditation and yoga, and I started to sort of go inward and look for peace within myself. Then I started realizing that there is a way that I could actually be happy. I could be of service, and I didn't have the shame and the guilt that came with whatever. And it isn't always about things that have happened in our lives. Many of us, maybe all of us to some degree, are born with multi-generational trauma, things that are passed down. And there's a degree of separation that is inherent in all human beings. And if it's really intense, if it's really great, well, then we're sort of the outcast. We don't really have the connection with other people, ever really have it, until we take that substance and we find this, oh my gosh, all of that is numbed, and now I can actually go out and be a part of something. So yeah, I mean, it's the good news is there's a solution. There's lots of things we can do, and they've been around for a long time.
I mean, just to expand on that real quick, I mean, I've said for a long time, childhood is a hostage situation. So, I mean, if in your family and all the dynamics, and obviously a lot of it is multi-generational, then trying to break that mold is not easy at all. It's really difficult.
Right.
And then
so,
we're all trying to run from pain, whatever that pain is, and away we go. That's
right. And there, the good news is there are groups, and to try to do this alone doesn't make sense, because we're not really individuals in the sense where we are an island. What I found is that healing happens in community. It happens when we reach out and we ask for help. It happens when we tell our story and we tell the truth, because you've heard the term, the truth will set you free.
Yep.
You can live and not be a secret. We're going to be much better off, and you're going to start to heal, and you're going to have less shame and guilt.
Well, in reality, we are all wired to connect. So, yes. And none of us are an island. And so, maybe somebody or a friend introduced this heroin or whatever we're abusing to us, which means we had help getting into it. So we're going to have to get help getting out of it.
Yes. I was at a meet and greet after the conference that I was at today. And I happened to be sitting, this is an industry that's completely separate from this. And it was a group of people talking about, we're talking about reverse osmosis water. So this is a WQA, Water Quality Association. And we're talking about health and wellness, and not really in this sort of new age, ancient wisdom way that we talk about on the show. And I got sat next to this young man who had a card, and on the card he had the flower of life. And the flower of life is a sacred geometric form that is the code for life and how we grow and how all things sort of follow this pattern. There's a really great show that you can find on YouTube called Spirit Science. If you haven't seen it before, check it out. It's got a lot of great little 15 to 30 minute educational videos that tell you all about yoga, meditation, the chakra system, it talks about transcendental meditation. It talks about astral projection, sacred geometry, the masculine, feminine energies, and how we're really here to have this sort of experience of contrast. The contrast being, the dark and the light, the evil and the good, the male and the female. And really only in the contrast can we have new things be born. Nothing happens in neutrality.
No, it does not.
Yeah. And this young man, I was sitting next to this guy, and I saw the flower of life, and I told him what I do. And he's like, oh my gosh, I know I sat next to you for a reason, because I didn't expect to have anybody in this area to have this conversation with. And here we are. And he pulled out, because I told him about acupuncture. We do acupuncture at the clinic, and how it, aligns the meridians, and that we're really all energy, and that, once you clear these energy blocks in your system, then you are able to feel again. And he pulled out a small handheld device that has a specific type of crystal in it that generates a certain frequency. And when you push it, it generates a spark or an energetic that goes to this crystal. And when you put it on your finger, it shocks you. And the idea is that if you put it on a place where you are hurt, like my knee is injured, it doesn't heal the knee, but what it does is it sends a signal to the body to generate its own internal healing mechanisms, so that vital life force, those chemicals, those chemicals that go in to do the healing. Really amazing little tool. But one of the things he said, I want to show you something. We were at a table of 4 people, and we all put our fingers together, and everybody was touching fingers, and he shocked his finger, and everybody in the table jumped, because we're all working at the same frequency. We're all part of the same energetic vibration.
You're connected.
And you're connected.
Yeah.
And, you could put everybody at the poolside, 1,000 people, and everybody would feel the shock, which I thought was really amazing.
Wow.
And yeah. So
it's like the ripple effect, right?
Yeah. And also, again, it's about that we're vibrating in a specific frequency. If you go to the spirit science, it will talk a lot about that, about the different levels and frequencies and where we're at in humanity right now and the ascension. There are many believe, as I do, that there's a quickening going on where so much technology and so much is happening so fast that we're reaching this point of major transformation. Nobody really knows what it is. And there's so many different theories about what's going to happen here over the short-term future, but I feel like something major is going to happen.
No, I agree with you. Since 2012, there's a quickening or an awakening and like an awareness of what's going on, and I think that's one of the reasons why some feel that Brexit happened and we got a new president and all that sort of thing. So that's a topic for another day as well.
As you have said many times, this is a call-in show.
It is a call-in show. The number is...
We can see if there's anybody else out there that's listening that wants to call in.
You can call us in area code...
We get Christina here shortly.
Yeah, you might want to text her or something. Area code...
She says she's on the line right now and music is playing.
I don't see it.
Okay, give me the number again and I'm going to send it to her.
Number is area code 323...
Okay.
524-2599. Yeah, it would show up here and I'd click it on. So have her to try again. That's really weird. If not, I'll get the power.
She says she's there and she's waiting. So if the listening audience can bear with us, I just give her a second.
Hold on.
Gave her the new number. Let's see what she does here. So the reason I thought it was good to have her in is that she just got done with her treatment and is now back, into her environment and dealing with life and trying to recover. And I think she's doing good. I'm going to let her tell us for herself. So let me tell her to try again. But she says she called in and she's waiting and music is playing. Do you want to check with our technical department and see if there's maybe a number issue?
Yeah, we're working on it right now.
Okay, great. So for people that are considering, that are struggling with addiction and really don't know whether or not this is for them, I suggest you continue doing your online research. There's a couple really good websites. One is GITA.org. GITA is the Global Ibogaine Therapy Alliance. They have some amazing information and statistics on Ibogaine and its effects. There's also MAPS.
Oh wait, it's called back. Wait, talk. Okay, I think we hit we had to refresh, and hopefully, are we there?
Hi.
Well, there, Christine. So much. Sorry. I didn't show up on my screen. We had to refresh life, so we're refreshed. Well, welcome, and thanks for calling and being timely and being on the show. You're live on air.
Hi,
all
Christina.
Right.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. I was concerned that maybe some of the old concerns that you had with being on the phone came back.
No, we're doing much better now.
No.
Yeah, we're doing much better now that you've called in.
No, I was trying. Yeah, I'm much better now.
So maybe you can share with us a little bit about what it was like, before you found us and came for treatment.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'd love to. I had no hope, basically. And I just, no hope and feelings of like, when I would try to get off drugs, I would just feel like a complete, like, life was over, Didn't want to move. Didn't want to do anything. It hurt to lay down,
Yeah, and your drug
so
of
that
choice?
was before. My drug of choice, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, meth.
Okay, and you were doing it for how long?
10 years, every day.
Every day, right. And, throughout that 10 years, how many times did you quit, and about, what was the longest you would make it?
I actually only tried quitting one time,
Okay.
and it was for about 30 days.
Uh-huh.
And the whole 30 days was absolutely miserable.
Mhm.
So that's why I never, tried quitting again, I guess, or just it didn't seem even worth it to try.
How did you find that affected your relationships?
Extremely bad. I was like a spaz, like I wouldn't hang out with my dad. I was angry, caused a lot of fights. I would, all kinds of bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so you were able to somehow, I know we went through a tough time, coming in. You want to share with people sort of the fear and what it was like coming in and sort of what happened?
Sure. Yeah, I freaked out, and just because I had to let go of the control, like I wanted to have my phone. I wanted to, I just freaked out because I was trying to get off drugs, and I was at this place. I didn't know anyone, I was just scared, and I, got a little anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of anxiety.
Well, yeah, you got a good man named Carlos who was just so ready to come back and save you, and
yeah,
his fear
exactly.
was that he
yeah,
was
I did. I
abandoning
called
you.
him, and I was like, "Come get me!" I had a freak out. Yeah, but then I remembered what my goal was, and I just was standing in the room alone, and I just was like, my goal is to get off drugs, and so why not try what they're gonna offer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was a period of time there where there was it could have gone either way, and so was there something specific that happened, or that the staff say what was it that helped you to get to that point? You were saying, look, I'm just going to do this. Was there anything specific?
Yeah, I was just staring at the wall, and I remembered Carlos, and I remember my boyfriend, and I remembered how he was trying to help me, and my goal was to get off drugs, and I just had to try something else. What I was doing wasn't working, so why not? It was just being alone and realizing all these problems I was causing just from, and it was the drugs, so I had to let go of the control, and I went down and I talked to the staff, and I just cried, and I was just like, I want to get help, and then they were very nice and helped me calm down.
Yeah. Well, I want to applaud
Yeah.
you, because I know that was a really, really critical point in your life. There was
Yes,
that moment
it
of
was.
180 degree where you just somehow, something in you said, I don't want to live this way anymore. And,
Yes,
you said, I'm just going to take a chance and stick it
totally.
out. So, yeah. So tell me what the next
I thought,
couple
what
of
do
days
I
were
got
like.
to lose?
Well, before you do that, can I interrupt? Was there any particular event or something that occurred to you after being on it for so long that you said, hey, it's now time, I really want to get off it? Was there any aha moment?
My boyfriend had found out I was on it, and he was just it started a big problem. He started drinking more, and he really wanted me to get off it. I didn't want to be on it, so for him, I tried to get off of it.
And I got to
he was
say,
my motivation.
Yeah, and I got to say, a lot of people say you got to get sober for yourself, and ultimately that is the thing that's going to be doing it. But it really does help when our loved ones say, "Here's how your using makes me feel," and saying, and this is the tough love part about it, saying, "I can't support this. I can't be a part of this. I need to take care of myself."
Yeah.
And so
he was going to leave me, and and he showed me here, do this, try this instead, and so that was very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was there with you, and he made several attempts to get you there, and it was just, it was an inch. I got to tell you, so it was one of the most difficult engagements that I've had to work with. I've had some tough ones, but you really put up a fight, and it's I don't know to minimize it, but it's like landing a fish. If you pull too hard, you're going to lose them, and you really need to kind of slowly bring it in, and then until you get it in, and then even once you get it in, it's up to you to do the work. And so you were able to get in.
Yeah.
You were able to push past that first day where Carlos was ready to come get you. And if you'd have said, come get you, he'd have done it. And I told
Yeah.
him, I said, don't do
Yeah,
it.
I
I
know.
said, you need to go home, because if you're going down there and staying next to her while she's kicking and screaming and complaining, then it's just going to, it's like putting two magnets really close together, and, you know,
Yeah.
it would just not have helped. So right around that time you came to and said, hey, you know what, let me give this thing a shot. So give us an idea of what the first couple of days before Ibogaine was like.
You said what?
Give us an idea of what the first couple of days before you took the Ibogaine was like.
Okay. Actually, for the first time in my life, I felt great off drugs. Like I never even came down off of them, which was amazing. And it was because of like the whole things that they teach you there, like the yoga and all the things that the diet, they just make you feel so good. And I had never felt that off drugs.
You know,
So
it is interesting how
I felt great.
You change your environment and you're not triggered and you're not stressful. Your body's not saying, or your mind is not saying, hey, I need something to be okay. So environment is really, really important if you're trying to get off. So you something happened.
And I actually felt great.
Awesome.
Like the breathing and all the, when I finally gave into it and just did what they said, you know, oh my gosh.
So what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was the yoga.
Oh, really? Okay. What did it, how did it make, what was it that, what was it? Tell me, did you do yoga before you gone to treatment?
I had not done yoga. I was into gymnastics a long time ago. So I liked the stretching, but like I don't know, it just really, and the Kundalini, that was amazing. It was like a free high. Like you just from breathing and you're releasing all these toxins.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And you want to share now, for you, and this is really important to say, when people take Ibogaine, not everybody has intense visual experiences. About 70% do. That means 30% don't. And that's not a small number, 3 out of 10 of people that don't have really vision. So if I'm understand correct, you didn't really have a very intense experience, right?
Yeah, I didn't have any hallucinations at all. But I felt like I felt it, and I could hear it, you know, the noise.
Buzzing.
And I feel like I still feel it now, kind of like when I do my meditation or continue my, you know, Kundalini, I feel like it's in my body helping me at this crucial time, you know.
Yes. And that's really just such a gift. You went home and what was it like when you went home? Then you did ayahuasca as well?
I did.
Okay. How did you like that?
It was okay.
I
did only a little because, I only did a little bit because it was in the beginning.
Yeah. And that's important to say, like you kind of, there was some, well, anyway, I know that your Ibogaine experience, your ayahuasca experience were part of it, but not as dramatic as standing out for you as it is for others. And what I really like about your story is that you got as much from the activities and the lifestyle education. And so when you went home, it was really great for you to reach out to me and say, hey, what was that type of yoga that we were doing, so that you could continue. So tell me what you've done. What's it been like getting home? You know, what's it been like? Have you had any struggles, and how do you deal with it?
Okay, great. I've been continuing like my same routine basically at home, and I've even like been cooking like they cooked there, you know, like for my family, and I've been doing the Kundalini, and I get free energy from just breathing at home, you know. And if I have a freak out or I think like, oh, I'm free, but you know, I could get drugs, but I just do yoga or I do Kundalini, which is what they taught me, and I feel great afterward, and I'm not on drugs. You know, I have to pinch myself and be like, am I on drugs or what? Like, I'm not though. And it's been just great. I went to NA meetings to just keep up with the supportive part of meetings and stuff.
Had you done that before?
And, No, never.
What's your thought about the meetings
Never.
you've been going to?
They're just a great accent to the other things I'm doing, and it fulfills my day, you know, like makes it completer, and I don't have that time to like just be like, oh, drugs, you know, because I'm used to the drugs, you know, but I totally feel like I've been off them even a while because of the Ibogaine baby. I don't know. I feel like reset and fresh.
Yes, it is. You know, and that's the thing about it. People would liken doing Ibogaine for people that have tried to get off before and had periods of sobriety. They would say doing Ibogaine is like having 9 months sober. You come out and it's like being trajected 9 months into sobriety or abstinence. And, you know, for you to have gotten so much from the process to be able to go home and so quickly say, oh my gosh, I want to continue this. It's actually very rare. Just as difficult as was coming in, it's very rare that people, because sometimes people feel so good, they go right back to their old behaviors and they don't really make the shifts. But, you know,
I'm so scared. I don't want to go back to that. And I know that it works and I feel good after what they taught me. Then I don't want to ever quit, you know. I don't want to quit these good things that are in my life now, you know.
Have you, you know, in going to a 12-step program, there are certain things they ask you to do. Get a sponsor and work the steps. Have you started that process yet?
I've only gone to 2 meetings, so I have not, but I've been talking at the meeting, and I plan on it. That's like probably what I should ask next time I go, which is tomorrow. I look forward to it.
There's always more. I mean, this is a process of awakening. You've now turned the corner and you have this beautiful being, Christina, to get to know. You know, you really haven't known yourself. You've been a slave to the substance.
I feel so good.
Yeah. Have you been
and I'm
working
off
on
drugs.
family
I can't get over that.
Have you been working on your family relationships? I know there was some separation between your sister and your father. And how's that going?
It's great. I did some therapy at the Ibogaine University, and they just taught me to like honor my father, and I've totally been taking that advice, and I see it in such a different way. And I just cooked for them like a clean dinner, and like we watched Jeopardy, and we're hanging out, and Carlos and me are doing excellent. We don't fight anymore. And everyone's just like more healthier because I'm spreading my healthier habits, you know?
Yes, you're a conduit, right? So you've opened something up in you and in your healing, and we are, you know, addiction affects the entire family. So you getting better is going to invite your family to get better. And often, you know, sometimes the family stays not well and can actually pull us back into old behaviors. But it sounds to me like your family really took some of the advice I talked to them about prior. I worked with your sister. I didn't get a chance to talk to your father, but I had a long conversation with her about her role and what she can do to support you guys. And sounds to me.
She's totally been like checking on me like every morning, and thank you.
Yeah. The thing that you did was called family constellations therapy. So I want to invite people that are listening to really check into that. It's a great process of, like you said, learning to honor your father, because we have issues. We got daddy issues. We got mommy issues. We have resentments. We have shame and guilt. And when we address those and we face them through this process, we get this new freedom. So, so that's amazing.
It's totally true.
Beautiful.
I mean,
all right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything else you'd like to add, Christina?
Just for anyone that has no hope and like feels like they can't. I swear, I never thought I'd feel good off drugs, and I feel so good, and I'm just so appreciative. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, the invitation is to really get into the steps, because the process of, facing our resentments and letting go, this is a process of forgiveness and letting go, and then making amends, going back and cleaning up the wreckage of our past is where we'll really start to feel free. And I found that, self-esteem comes from esteemable acts. So as you get out there in the world and you get to find, and every day ask yourself, what can I give to this world and to this life? You're going to find yourself not even thinking about using drugs because you're going to be so busy being on purpose. And it really is important that you have some purpose, which I hope that's the thing that you're going right now, because I don't know what it was like before, but I got to think that there's new opportunities opening up for you now.
Yes, definitely. My dad even mentioned that it was like a new birth in the family.
Oh,
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's just amazing. So, I mean, this has been quite a miracle for you.
Yes, really. I feel like it saved my life,
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, Christina, and telling your story and the courage to go and
thank
get
you for
help
having me.
Okay, dear.
Well, thank you for being a part, and congratulations on your freedom and
thank you so much.
Your new life.
All right.
Thank you.
And God bless.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's what I do, huh? That's why we really sort of say thank you, for this great plant medicine, and I want to say thank you to a lot of people. Really, I mean, the list is really long of people that have supported my efforts and our efforts. I'm going to start with close personal friend Anthony Pitko, who without him this show would not be possible. I'm not very tech savvy, and getting these podcasts up onto YouTube and everything so that other people can see it. Without him, that wouldn't be possible. I want to thank, my CEO and partner, Scott Ankeny, who we don't always see eye to eye, but we definitely are both very much into our own recovery, and we're into helping people. I have Emily Wessel, who is the clinical director and our primary therapist, who has done an amazing job really bringing some much needed structure and curriculum that have been outlined. It's really just become an amazing program. Jeanette, who has been with me from the very beginning, who does a great job of helping our clients push through some of these times. And I'm sure when Christina was struggling, it was Jeanette and it was Emily. These were the people that were sitting with her saying, hey, look, you can do this. Because, she really had a hard time. And I'm sure that the list is
well, Tyson, I'm sure you're saving the best for last.
And then, of course, there's the Walter Lusk.
No, actually, guest, the big guest that we had last week.
Oh, right, and Carlos, who was amazing,
and who was in studio?
Oma,
your mom.
Ben, who without this,
your mom
truly would not be possible.
You got to throw mom in there. Come on, Tyson.
Honor my father. Yeah,
your folks.
What a great. My father.
Yeah.
I love my father, and my father right now is struggling with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Tough. Yeah, my dad did too.
And he's in a nursing home, and it's really tough because I've been with my biological father helping and sort of I'm a rescuer and been rescuing him, and now I can't do anything about it. Now he's at the point where I can't be there with him, and every time I go to see him, it's really very difficult.
It's tough. It's tough.
And so I do love him and I do honor him. And thanks for reminding me, Walt.
You're very welcome. That's what hosts are for.
That's right.
And we are about out of time. So is there anything else you want to close out with, even though you've been closing out?
No, and yes, there is. I just want to say thank everybody who takes the time to come on and watch the show. I want to thank everybody that shares and likes it. I want to invite anybody that wants to go to Global Recovery Today, either the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, and makes comments, engages in the conversation about recovery and about plant medicine and about all the alternatives that are available, lifestyle changes, because this isn't about Ibogaine University. It isn't about Ibogaine. It's about recovery. And whether you're addicted to substances, we're in a global situation where it's going to require that we all recover, that we all forgive, that we all take personal responsibility for our choices and the greater impact of our choices. And that's really what I want to make this about, if I can, is just like how can each of us individually take personal responsibility and make a difference.
And what's the best way for folks that are listening and watching to get a hold of you?
Well, I would like them to call me directly. My cell phone is 310-467-6783. That's the best way. They could also go to Ibogaine University and check out if they're looking for treatment. It's another way.
Or you can comment on Facebook at Global Recovery Today as well. You can put a message through. And you can catch us every Wednesday at 7:30 here at UBN Radio. Or you can find us on iTunes, TuneIn, and, of course, here at UBN Radio. And we are here for you. And, again, it's a call-in show. We'll have another one next week. And so stay tuned with that. And we appreciate all the calls, comments, shares, and likes. And until next time, thanks, Tyson, and everyone else. God bless.
Yes, and please take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Lend your ears, lend your hands, lend your movement, anything you can. Come to teach, come to be taught.